What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the KFS Postgame Show. My name is Andrew. His name is Jeremy, and we are here to recap the Knicks' Christmas Day loss to the Philadelphia 76ers. 119-112 is your final. I'm sure there'll be some takes about referees, some fourth quarter performances. And Jeremy, I'll start this off. What two completely different RJ Barrett games that we've seen in the last two. One very high, and not exactly the highest of highs, not exactly the lowest of lows. He's absolutely played worse before, but I don't want to say that's a difference in the game. Um, a lot to break down, at least as far as this week goes and how this game goes. What's your initial thought?
Missed opportunity. It feels like this whole week was kind of a bunch of missed opportunities, which is so frustrating. And last week we were talking about 7-game winning streak and how great that was, and now we're looking at a 3-game losing streak. And it's just how quickly things turn in the NBA. But for today, the Knicks really needed RJ, and he wasn't able to provide for them in the way that he had, especially in the previous game. And Julius Randle was great in the first half, incredible. And the second half, there was a drop off. And, we can talk about the fact that the Sixers had 20 free throws in the first half and found a way to bait calls. And that final play of the first half where Brunson was very clearly fouled, and then Milton hits that shot. And at that moment, it was kind of like, all right, that's just probably how today's going to go. Cool. Sure enough. Yeah. But they didn't execute down the stretch. In the end of the third and practically the entire fourth, only scored 16 points. So would have been really nice if RJ had been the RJ we had seen, but other guys had to step up, and felt like the only player who really did in the fourth was Quickly.
Yeah. The refereeing in the first half, and we got John tweeting about it to the point where it was bad. If John is even saying it, that play, you don't like to limit a 48-minute game with close to 100 possessions down to one play. But if Brunson gets correctly called for a foul on Harden there, and the Knicks get 2 free throws there, I'm not going to assume Jalen Brunson hits 2 free throws. I made that mistake the other night against Chicago. But say he does hit both. He's an 87% shooter. You're up 8 at halftime. Instead, they don't call it a fluke half-court shot, and it's a 3-point game at the half. It felt like a gigantic momentum swing the other way. And look, yes, poor execution down the stretch. The Knicks are playing shorthanded. I think it's actually showing how shorthanded they are. RJ, he went 6 for 21 today. He also played 43 minutes. And the way that they were switching today requires a lot of effort. They're just, I'm not going to be shocked if they're going to run out of gas earlier in games, especially when the other team is James Harden and Joel Embiid and guys hitting threes like George Niang hitting 4 threes in a quarter, and either a Melton or a Milton hitting a bunch of threes for the game. And look, I said this on Twitter, but this is what makes Friday night's loss hurt even more, because you can tolerate losing to a better team, but when you pile it on with the loss on Friday and how you really choked that one away, it magnifies the missed opportunities that you're referring to this week. And I don't know about you, but why does this keep happening at home? It seems like they seize all these opportunities on the road,
Yeah, other players love to play in the Garden, and the Knicks kind of just seem to let them do their thing, and they're great when we're not here. So I just, Knicks have to psychologically find a way to pretend that the Garden isn't home court advantage. I don't know. They got to do something. I mean, obviously protecting the paint, protecting their home floor is the most important thing. But if we got to get psychological and like, oh yeah, we're on the road today.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Got to do something. It's not working here.
Well, everybody watching, thank you for joining us. We're obviously filling in for the big guy, Mr. Macri, but he may reach out to us soon, because
maybe
you won in predictions this week, and we're gonna go through the full process of the show a little later on. We've got our cashback player of the week, we've got our detention, and an interesting list of candidates for this week. And of course, we'll make our predictions for the upcoming week. But let's get into it. We should mention just some stats from today's game. Julius Randle was outstanding in the first half, finishes with 35 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. In a game the Knicks lost by 7, he was a +5 for the game. I did think he forced some stuff down the stretch, but I also thought it was like overall a pretty good Randle game. 12 for 24, so he was efficient, 4-9 from 3. If the Knicks are trending toward an all-star this year, I still would like it to be Jalen Brunson. I think nationally we might hear some Julius Randle conversations coming up soon. Jalen Brunson, by the way, did leave this game late in the fourth quarter with an apparent hip injury. We'll see what that means for Dallas on Tuesday. It would suck if you're a Mavericks fan and you wanted to see the Jalen Brunson return. It would also really suck if you're a Knicks fan trying to avoid a 4-game losing streak in Dallas on Tuesday. He finished with 23 points, 11 assists, 10 of 19 from the field. And then this is going to come up, but RJ Barrett, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. The counting stats are great. 6 of 21 from the field today. Any other stat lines stick out to you? I know Quickly had a nice game off the bench.
I'll point out one stat line that I think was pretty important. The minivan, George Niang.
George Niang.
16 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 4 of 9. I swear, if I had to hear the minivan one more time, I was going to lose it. But, Bobby Marks tweeted about how the Sixers they took 10 shots in the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and they were all 3-point attempts.
Mm-hmm.
The Sixers just found a way to break down the Knicks' defense, 3-point defense. I thought that one play, what was it? It was either Milton or Melton. I think it was Milton, who Niang kicked it out to him, and then he started to drive, which took the focus away from Grimes to cut in, and then he kicked it out to Niang, who just hit another 3 above the break. They executed it flawlessly. It was, just stuff like that, chipping away, that made what was a very tenuous lead evaporate, and then just they never looked back.
It stinks that fourth quarter went the way it did. They were playing so well for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
30 assists to 8 turnovers today for the Knicks.
Yeah, Harden. Sorry,
good.
Harden just did what he did. We can talk about his decline from a superstar player to still like a really great player, star, but he made things happen. And at the end of the day, he showed up.
He's no longer MVP candidate James Harden. He's still all-star James Harden. And look, when you're playing the Robin role, we're having a guy that's probably overqualified to be Robin in this role comes in handy. It's why I'm frustrated by that fourth quarter. I was hoping the Knicks could pull this one out and just keep the consistent offense, but you just did it. That end of the third, fourth quarter is like, oh, they have James Harden. And it wasn't like the annoying version of Harden where he was foul baiting. He was creating advantages. And then, like you said, just wide open 3 after wide open 3, whether it be a Melton or a Milton, and the minivan, as they consistently said. I got to say, I saw some commentary on Twitter about the broadcast. I was kind of fine with Ruko and JJ. I'm actually very fine with JJ overall as a play-by-play, as a color commentator. I think, yes, I also got sick of the minivan, but also because it was him that was beating them was more the frustration I had,
Yeah. I like them both. I thought what JJ said about Embiid when he switches to his left hand and goes, most likely he's going to go for the step back, was fascinating. Something I hadn't viewed, and I like them. I like them both. It just, I like them more when my team is the one winning as they're calling the game. That wasn't the case today.
Yeah. Let's spend some time with our good friends. I should mention, I don't think I've said this yet. Merry Christmas to everybody watching us here on Christmas Day, doing a post game. I will wish you a happy holidays, Jeremy, and to those who obviously don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays to those watching. We're gonna have some fun for the next little bit of time, and we're gonna get to all your super chat comments, and we'll do some segments, and then we'll get out of here. And thank you for spending a portion of this holiday with us. We greatly appreciate it. And so do our good friends over at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app now or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Download Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. That's bet 100, win 100 at WYNNBET.com. Download, bet, win. Real quick, just gonna recap how betting and sweating went today. We're so close, Jeremy. So close. So here's how it went. I went with Jalen Brunson at least 2 3-pointers. I actually got plus odds for that at plus 110. XJ, it wouldn't have hit it without the Brunson injury, but he went with quickly 2+ 3-pointers. Hit the second one late in the fourth quarter when he came in at minus 105. So that hits 2 for 2. Mensa went with a parlay. Grimes at least 2 3-pointers. At minus 154, combined with Brunson over 6 assists, minus 125. That hits, so we're 4 for 4. And then Sean went with a parlay and Embiid 35+ points and rebounds, mixed with the Knicks money line. So we go 5 for 6 today. Really 3 for 4, but 5 for 6. We're the Knicks money line away from a 6 for 6 double parlay hit for betting and sweating. But we're on our game over the last couple games. So shout out to the pregame crew for holding it down with the betting and sweating picks. We head now to our wonderful, fine folks over in the super chat. And we start with Forgot NYC. Christmas is ruined. Bah humbug. I'm sorry that this ruined your Christmas. I will also add his next comment. 8-game winning streak feels like centuries ago. Luka next. Ironically, they play really well in Dallas, though. Like, they've won their last 3 straight games in Dallas. They've won every game in Dallas since the Porzingis trade.
Yes, and Julius plays exceptionally well when he
kills in Dallas. Yeah,
he goes home. He does great. So fingers crossed that would be the case. Yeah, for those of you who do celebrate Christmas, I'm sorry your Christmas is ruined. For the rest of us who do not celebrate Christmas, yeah, December 25th is just really crappy today. I'm sorry. It's unfortunate. It'll really put a damper on my Chinese food before we watch a movie. But before then, yeah, I know it does feel like centuries ago. And that's what's so frustrating about the Bulls game, because if the Knicks win that game, even if they lose this one, it's a 2-2 week. And sure, the 8-game winning streak, it snapped. We're talking about, all right, well, they lost one, won one, lost one, lost 2 out of 3. It's all right. Had a great streak. And instead it's just one good streak, really great streak. And then not so great streak. Let's try to clean this up.
Mm-hmm. You just hit one of my Christmas traditions I'm missing out on today. Now I was going to miss it anyway because I'm out in Queens, but my family's Christmas tradition is Pastor Claudio and the Claudio family. We always go see a movie. And then afterwards, because it's one of the only places open, we go get Chinese food. They're at Avatar now. And I'm here. Now we're spending Christmas tomorrow. Like my Claudio Christmas is tomorrow because we're also doing my mom's birthday. But now I'm like, I'm gonna miss out on Chinese food tonight. So regardless, wouldn't want to be anywhere else but with you right here on YouTube, Jeremy.
Likewise.
I can guarantee you that. Next up, Kevin Wilson. He echoes my sentiment earlier. This loss wouldn't feel so bad if they didn't completely choke away the Bulls game. That was my entire thought during the fourth quarter. This is so much more tolerable if you have the win off the RJ performance on Friday. You lost your better team, fine. It's 2-2 this week. No harm, no foul. You go on the road and hope you still head into this stretch where you're hoping to take advantage of a better schedule. Now, man, they lose on Tuesday. You're looking at +8 to -4 in the wins and loss columns. But you haven't said anything publicly since the Bulls game. What was your thoughts on Friday night?
Disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, it should go without, being said, but you had a wonderful opportunity to close the door, have a season sweep of the Bulls, and you let them in. And I know we can't just say, oh, well, free throws, but that was a major part of it. If you're missing 4 free throws
you sure you can't just say, well, free throws?
Well, because, I mean, you can never boil it down to one thing, right? There's always going to be other parts. But in that moment, when one of your players is giving you 44 points and you can't hit a free throw, then yeah, that's certainly the thing that stands out. And all they needed was 1, right? Like, that's it. Just need 1 free throw. At worst, the way it shakes out is you have the same scenario with DeRozan and you push it to overtime. At worst, in that case. I mean, or granted, let's say they make it 3. Cool. All right. Then we're back in the same spot. But if you hit 2 of those free throws,
yeah, the dynamic changes if you hit.
Right. It's just, It's the little things. So
The tough part for me, and it's what I struggled with Friday night talking about it, was like, so there was a sentiment, and I shared it when before we got even into the super chat, that like I didn't like to quickly only play 21 minutes. I thought the defense across the board was a step slow, but Brunson, an 89% free throw shooter, Grimes, an 81% free throw shooter, they go 0 for 4 in the final minute from the free throw line. They go 50%. They give us 2 for 4, and you're up by 3 going into that final possession. And it's why I'm just like that. You really can limit it down when you're talking about the margins to free throws. So went 15 to 26. They go 19 of 26. It's still not good, but you win the game in that sense. And that's where, man, I'm with you, Kevin. It's why that one hurts way more than this, but this piled on with that makes this week even more frustrating. Thank you, Kevin, for the contribution. DJ MKC. I hate basketball. F Embiid, F Harden, F free throws, F zone defenses we can't figure out, F all the refs, and Merry Christmas to the KFS fan. Merry Christmas to you too, DJ MKC, and I'll co-sign all of your Fs. How's that? The 9-man rotation has worked for the most part. They really miss offense in the second unit. They really miss a shot creator, an advantage creator. Yep. RJ's doing his thing quickly when he can is good. The Hartenstein Sims thing was cute. I'm glad that people hopefully see how much they miss Obi a little bit, just the lightning strike that he can provide at times. The zone defense specifically against, like JJ commented on that today, specifically against the second unit is killing them.
Yeah. So. No, it is. It's 100%. And this is why, we had an embargo. I'm not going to necessarily go into it more in terms of ideal trade play.
Oh, the embargo's over. Yeah,
I know. Well, right. Last time I was here, there was a very strict embargo. But it's a sort of thing where an additional creator, as you're saying, someone with more pull-up shooting in addition. I mean, yes, obviously adding Obi back to this will be super helpful. I mean, when you're playing Sims and Hartenstein, you're gobbling up offensive boards, and it's great, but they're also not major threats off the dribble. And so if you can find someone using salary that you already have at your disposal that's just collecting dust, it'd be great to find a way to bring someone in who can contribute in such a way that solidifies the bench so there's not as much pressure on the starting lineup. And it's great that there's mixing and matching, and Tibbs has been doing that all season. But you have to think, at a certain point, does it catch up with them? Do they need someone else who can really step in? And we're talking also a team that's been decimated by, I don't even want to say decimated by injuries. It's really Obi who's the one who hurts. But they have taken Fournier and Reddish out of the rotation entirely. And I'm not trying to speak this into existence, but I really hope that the Knicks keep everyone healthy, because if there is someone else who isn't able, who's a major rotation piece, who's not able to play, then you're looking at Rose in to give you minutes that are really not going to be great. You need someone else to help keep you kind of buoyant as the season rolls on and in the playoffs. It would really help solidify the bench in that way. Quickly's doing a lot. He's doing as much as he can. He's had a great week, I thought, but it's just they need someone else.
Yeah. Anthony Sixto, Merry Christmas. I want an offensive spark in the second unit for Christmas. # Claudio Curse. So the Knicks are now 1-3 since, and look, go back and look at the tape. What I said was if they go something like 13-5 during this 18-game stretch against favorable under 500 opponents, then maybe they'll get 2 All-Stars. And it has become, I said they go 13-5 and every game they lose is my fault. I'll wear it. I got overconfident. They were winning every game. Never thought they'd lose again. My football team was winning. My baseball team was signing everybody. Now my football team might not ever win again. Carlos Correa is probably going to end up a Dodger, and the Knicks are probably going to go 5-13 in this stretch instead. Jeremy, I apologize, everybody, for my existence more particularly. So, Merry Christmas to you too, Anthony. Oh man, Michael Mirando, trade Randle. Wow. Oh, okay. There's more to the comment. Okay. Trade Randle now that value has somewhat recovered, especially if Brunson is out for any extended period. Refs need to be fixed, and RJ should have sat. So what do you think about this? Would you have sat RJ?
For whom? Like,
I guess the thought is for quickly, and then I don't know how you bench a guy after a 44-point performance.
but they were playing quickly. Brunson was injured. They couldn't.
But so I guess the initial comment here is like before you knew Brunson was hurt, then you sit RJ because of how off of a game he was having.
No. Well, I mean, look, I get it. In this particular game, there were moments where he was struggling and he hit a bad game. But the way that I see it is you have someone who has had one of the best stretches of his entire career. And because he doesn't have it going for a little bit, and we've seen far worse, and Tibbs has been like, yeah, I'm cool with it. RJ, you're playing. I mean, look at how large the Sixers are as a team. They're very big. The Knicks are like, who are we putting instead? Like, yes, we could say quickly, we could say Grimes and Brunson, but again, if Brunson's not doing his thing, you still have RJ, who has been productive this past week and onward. I just don't understand why you're taking him out of the lineup to bench him for this game when you know that he has it in him to propel himself. And he's also usually, statistically, he's a second half player.
Yeah.
He just didn't have it going in the second half. So, no. And I mean, I feel like we have this trade Randle topic. It feels like it pops up every game. He has a great game, sell while high. He has a bad game, get him off the team. Like, we're talking about someone who's in the All-Star conversation.
Yeah.
And this doesn't feel like it's a fluke. You know, like 2 seasons ago, it felt fluky. Not in the heat of the moment. I mean, we were wondering, okay, well, does it have something to do with that there's no one in the stands? Does it have something to do with that he's just on fire? Is it Tibbs? What is it? I don't know. This is legitimate production. He floundered at the end of the game. Don't get me wrong. But we have seen enough good from him that it's like, all right, trade him. Well, for what? Like, what, to a team that gives you like 2 late first round picks where you can hopefully trade them for someone better than Randle down the line? Like, he's playing really well. Hold on to that. You don't have to make anything rash. To me, it's upgrade or it's be consistent and stay. And unless the Knicks can get an upgrade, because whoever they're trading him to, they're probably not getting a player who is as good or better than him, which means that they are losing games, which means that they are getting further down in the standings, which is the exact opposite of what the front office wants. And we could say, oh, well, the Knicks should, then in that case be fine with losing games. Why? Why? Like, they're building a team to win. We want to see them win. Players' values increase when they win. There's another team whose draft pick they hold in the Mavs, where hopefully they can start losing some more games again. You can always trade up. You have all these other picks that you have at your disposal. You trade out of the 11th spot, get 3 protected first, or at your disposal now. Use them to move up. You don't have to do it. So, no, I don't get it. It feels like a reflex when this is a consistent production from a player who deserves to be in the All-Star conversation, I believe has a legitimate candidacy for being in that game. You don't just trade that.
Look, I'm at the point in my ride with Randle journey where I'm fine if it's an off-season upgrade, but that's, like you said it, like the dumping him for Jay Crowder and a couple of like a protected whatever, and that poo-poo platter just for the sake of getting rid of him is off the table for me. I'm not against trading him. I don't think there's really an untradeable player on this team, but I am at the point of like, all right, they've figured something out that this season could at least be fun. And if you want to upgrade the position to get better or to get a quote unquote said star, and you're using Julius Randle as the player you use to upgrade, then fine. I do think a lot of this sentiment comes from what we had last year, how we spent this offseason, how most spent this offseason. I know it was until the very end that you did. I think it's more leftover PTSD from last season, which he's got to wear that. He was awful last year. He's been the exact opposite. And like you said, there are people in attendance this season. What happens this year is seemingly sustainable. It's not an open gym all-star anymore, or an open gym all-star. He's actually doing this with sold out crowds, and we'll see what that conversation even looks like. He was also outstanding today too, which has to be said. Embiid was hitting everything, and then Fred Katz noted through 3 quarters they had the same exact stat line.
Yep.
And he didn't have the benefit of getting every single call in the second quarter. He actually was making shots as opposed to Embiid at that point.
I just want to say, if Randle is having a better and more efficient offensive season than he did the year that he was named to the All-Star game, won the Most Improved Player award, and was named to the second team All-NBA, if he's doing better than that and his defense is looking like it has, like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, move him for a star or superstar who's better than him. I 100% agree with that. But until then, no, sorry, not interested.
Robert Cross. Merry Christmas, KFS peoples. Do the Knicks make a trade to improve? Oh, wow, Robert has joined in on the trade conversation.
Yes, he has.
Do the Knicks make a trade to improve the roster before the deadline? Hashtag 53 wins. I'm actually going to push this question off. Thank you, Robert, for the contribution. Jeremy will be answering these questions in a separate show called Cap Rules Everything Around Me. Bring all of these questions. It's not even like solely super chats that we address. Bring all of your trade ideas and questions. The one word answer is I think yes. I think you also think yes.
Yeah, I said it earlier.
Yeah.
We can apply that answer to this question.
There you go. Thank you, Robert. And he's got more coming. Don't worry.
Oh, I bet.
Bulldog Boxing Promotions. Thank you for the contribution. Sims iHeart lineup was fine while it lasted, but I'm done. -12 together in 8 minutes tonight. Teams are going to zone on them and shut us down. The book is out. Cosign, 100% agree. You mentioned it earlier. This is, it was cute. And now it's seemingly like you need a athletic stretch four that might be able to create advantages. Not even a stretch four, whatever you want to call Obi, a backup power forward that can play 18 minutes and maybe even 20 some nights. I'm in agreement with Bulldog Boxing Promotions. Then Michael Morando. This actually is probably on top of what he says about Randle. In his last comment, he says Brunson out equals tank. Enough said. It's just never going to happen in this organization.
All right. So there are two different types of directions we're talking about here. Are we saying that the Knicks are so bad that Brunson is the most important player and that the Knicks will have a downward spiral? Or are we saying that Brunson gets hurt and then the Knicks decide to strip the roster to then tank, despite the fact that they have won enough games where other teams clearly have a leg up on the competition?
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about that, they're not going to do that. That'd be the antithesis of what they have done. If we're talking about the talent level, I just disagree. What we're seeing from Julius Randle, what we're seeing from RJ Barrett as he's come back, we've seen tremendous strides from Grimes. Mitchell Robinson has had a really nice job. He's done a really nice job last few weeks, and I don't like how would they tank? I don't see how it would happen. They're a good team that punches above its weight and then gets knocked down by what you hope are really good teams, but Toronto and Chicago, that's where it's frustrating. It seemed like they are a worse team in the standings. On paper, maybe not. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. They're not going to tank.
Julius Randle is also the oldest player in the rotation right now. Like, this is a youth movement. This is a roster full of kids that are responsible for what we've seen over the last 3 weeks. So it's almost like what you're asking for in tanking is you want to see a youth movement where most of the kids that you've drafted are part of the rotation, which is what you got. I understand the sentiment that if you get rid of Randle, it's easier to do that. Plus, you get to see what you have in Obi Toppin. Realistically, this front office is just never going to do that. So, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen, Michael.
Andrew, do I look like Two-Face right now?
I didn't want to say it.
You know what?
I just realized we always record at night when
we do.
Here.
You know what?
This is the first time I found out where your windows are.
It's great. I got great windows, but you answer the question. I'm gonna not
jump off and fix that. Go ahead.
Correct.
All right. Shout out to Harry Donard for a sizable contribution. Thank you, Harry. We always appreciate you in here. And you have a comment. Expected this loss, but in true Knicks fashion, they teased us. Maybe we get some foul call regression at some point. Merry Christmas to the whole KFS fam. That second quarter, man. Disgusting. Knicks are up double figures, and every time, and now Tibbs is taking ownership of it. He's saying that the Knicks were reaching in. I'll hear that if it wasn't for the fact that the Knicks were not getting the same whistle at the other end of the floor with the same amount of contact. And this is a consistent thing that happens, and a consistent thing that happens against the Knicks at the Garden. I tend to lean more toward the I don't blame the officials. They're all bad, so it's tough to be like the officials are why we lost. It's tough when you watch a sequence like that, and the reason the Sixers got back in the game is because, oh, we have superstars. Well, let's take advantage of superstar calls for 5 minutes. It's annoying, and it's I don't know. It sounds like whining when you're just whining about the refs, but when it's so much of a disparity like we saw during that stretch, it's tough not to notice it,
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, Embiid did a great job of baiting it. And he had a phenomenal game, so I don't want to take away from it. He did a wonderful job otherwise than that, but he took advantage of what the referees were giving him. And it was for Mitch, I thought he did a really admirable job defending him. He just got into foul trouble, and then Sims came in, and Sims didn't really have much of a chance. Just a real challenge for him. Yeah, it started in a lot of ways with the officials, and they capitalized, and then that was the game in so many ways because it just kept things close, and then they blew it open in that end of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth.
Thank you for the contribution, Harry. Merry Christmas to you and yours as well. DJ Eon, Mr. Stevens B. Guillaume. Merry Christmas, KFF's team. Couldn't buy a bucket in the fourth. Oh, and the NBA refs won't see the pearly gates. Enjoy the rest of the day. Shout out to you, to Stevens. We appreciate the contribution. Robert Cross. Hartenstein has zero utility on the Knicks. None. Need to sit when Obi returns. Should be traded. What do you think happens when Obi returns? Hartenstein or Sims?
Sims sits.
I think it's Sims too.
Yeah. No, it's going to be Sims. Again, it's not that Hartenstein has zero utility. It's that what he brings is different from what Tibbs especially likes on the offensive end. I mean, like some of the passes he made this week were incredible.
Yeah. How quickly you forget the Warriors game,
Right. Exactly. That's what he brings to the table. When he is not used in that way, then he looks worse. Like if you can't shine and your flaws are glaring, then you're going to look even worse than you actually are. But he has the defensive rebounding is just not good. A litany of other things and other issues, but we could talk more about his trade value and situation and all that. But in the meantime, it's just he is going to be their backup center. And I think that the way the Knicks view it is they'd be fine spending the rest of the season like they did last year with Sims being the backup 5. It's just they'd want enough value to retain from Hartenstein, or else why are they necessarily doing it?
I'll be honest. I could go either way with who he chooses. I'm not passionate. Like I hear both sides of the argument. I like the athleticism that Sims brings. I like the playmaking potential that Hartenstein brings. It's the backup 5. Mitch Robinson has been a revelation for the past 3 weeks. So it's more that's my focus is that, oh, this is all the takes that we were like, oh, maybe we could have just let Mitch walk or traded him for anything. We're silly because he's been part of the advantage the Knicks have is second chance points, which they were talking about all day today. So who the backup center is, it's like, I need Obi back more than anything at this point to then decide who the backup center is and have it work out itself. Mangu Man, thank you for the contribution. I know it's nice to lie to ourselves during the win streak, but let's be real. We're not a proven team, and we don't beat proven teams, plain and simple. The Sixers have Joel Embiid and James Harden. Like, no, I don't think the Knicks were good enough. We're better than this team. I thought their ceiling at the end of the winning streak. Granted, I'm the one that said watch them go 13-5, but I was looking at a favorable schedule. I still think there are 5 teams at least better than them in the conference. So I thought this could have put some distance between them and 7th, but yeah, the 5 proven teams ahead of them. The other 2 losses this week where they were missing Grimes, got nothing out of their bench unit, and Pascal Siakam decided he was Giannis for a night. And then the other loss, they hit 3 more free throws in a night that Jalen Brunson uncharacteristically missed 2, and Quentin Grimes uncharacteristically missed 2 in the last minute of the game. We're talking about a 2-2 week, maybe even a 3-1 week, and the 1 loss is to the better team. I don't know. I think they're in that 6-10 range, which is what we all thought they were coming into the season. And it's been nice during this stretch to see the distance they are from the bottom of the conference, but now you're seeing how close they are to the middle of the conference. At least that's where I'm seeing Jeremy.
I mean, forget about the 6th seed, right? How many folks out there were predicting the Knicks would maybe, be the 8th seed, or the 9th seed going in the end of the season?
A lot of tens in there, yeah.
Right, and you can only play who is in front of you on the schedule. It's as simple as that. And the fact is that the Knicks won 8 of those games in a row, but it's more than that, right? Because we can talk about the Mavericks game and how awful that whole third quarter was and what it turned into. But I want to go back further than that, right? So, like, the Knicks had a 2-2 trip in the West Coast. They beat Utah. It was the Utah's first home loss of the season. They beat Denver for the first time since 2006. Granted, obviously Jokic was out, but that's a game that the Knicks in the past lose without Jokic anyway. They did that. They lost in Golden State and they lost in Phoenix. So November 21st, this is where things get fascinating. Final game of that 5-game stretch, 5-game road trip, they beat the Thunder. They lose in overtime to the Blazers, a game that they should have won but did not close the door. After that, they lost by only 4 at home to the Grizzlies. They beat the Pistons by 30.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks game, they were right there in lockstep. So if we're talking about those 5 teams that are ahead of the Knicks, they were right there with them. Giannis fouled out. They were a Grayson Allen 3 away from making it what could have been a Knicks win. Didn't happen. They lost it, but they hang tough, and that's great. The Mavs game happens. Atrocious third quarter performance. Before then, Knicks were doing quite well. They were keeping pace with them. And then the beginning of the 8-game winning streak, they beat Cleveland 92-81. Another one of those teams that's ahead of the Knicks, right? Beat Atlanta, Charlotte, Sacramento, Chicago twice on the road, Indiana on the road, beat Golden State at home. Like 2 of those 5 teams that we just talked about were beaten. We could talk about an 8-game stretch where the Knicks won every single game. We can also talk about how, 8 of 9, 9 of 10, 10 of 11, 11 of 12, 12 of their last 13 games before that loss to the Raptors were either wins or this close.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's easy to get caught up in this. This is a very good team that has a lower ceiling because they don't have the superstar talent that they need. They're hanging tough. That's what we can ask of them. I think the Bulls game would have changed a lot of the perspective. Maybe it wouldn't changed Mango Man's comment, and I don't disagree with that. I think that's fine. The idea of not beating proven teams, but they have beaten proven teams, and they've come really close to beating proven teams as well. So what can you do? Just wait until they get star talent. That's what you can do, actually.
I agree. JJ, not JJ Redick, the actual spelled out JJ. Enough of the Sims iHeart lineup, please. Cosign. I agree. Mm-hmm. Sam Garcia, to all KFS, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. To all in household Garcia, because all of you contribute to us. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you as well. Liam Berkowitz, thank you for the contribution. Randle had it going within the flow of the offense first half, kick out threes, attack closeouts, sputtered manufacturing pick and roll, and ISO in the second. I'll disagree on this entire second because some of those kickouts happened in the third quarter. That pass to Brunson in the third, like Brunson had 11 points in the third quarter. 5 of them were on Randle Fines, like because he was able to find him in that stretch. Like the fourth quarter is bad. I agree. I thought Randle actually played a very, very good game for 2 3 quarters of the game. And then the fourth quarter, like everything fell apart. So I can't completely put that on him. I do agree that like this is the version of Randle that I think we're both finding more sustainable than last year's version or even the 2 years ago version where it's not all dependent on long twos. The shot making lately from 3 is also really great. He had 4 threes today. Randle's 4 of 9 from 3. It's second straight game with at least 4 threes, which for his position is actually really good. But I can understand at the end of the game you're frustrated and he's the one you single out though.
I thought I'm glad he made it, but I was shocked when he took a pull up too. Like that long mid range shot. I was like, what do you? Oh, all right. And like, granted, the result was better than the process itself, but it was just like he's cleaned it up a lot, which is why, like that towards the very end of the fourth, when when he was taking that, when he pulled up also from mid range, it just
Mhm.
wasn't a good shot. I think it was from the strong side. It's just like, what do you? Why? Why? I didn't know. So
So
that
it's
was
it's
that
funny
was
you
just
say
wrong.
this
Yes.
because I'm looking at his shot chart now, and I remember writing down this example. So bear with me. I'm gonna go someplace. So obviously, being a Jets fan, we're kind of out on the quarterback they took second overall. There is a contingent of Jet fans that look at Zach Wilson and they're like, you don't see like the superstar potential every now and then from him, like why they took him second overall. And I forget who said it, but I heard the take this week that it's basically every 6 plays, you're going to get one play from Zach Wilson that it's like, oh, there it is. There's the potential. That's why they took him second overall. This is only a play Aaron Rodgers can make, but you're stuck with so much shit for the other like 80% of the time. I guess in this case, 5-6, so that's 87% of the time, right? With Randle, it's almost been the opposite this year. For 5 of 6 plays, you're gonna see the commitment to getting to the paint, the penetrating and kickouts that you're getting. But once every 6 plays, he's gonna take a long contested 2 that you hate. He's gonna hold the ball for entirely too long. He's gonna make one isolation that you're just like, this could have been a better possession than you taking PJ Tucker one-on-one. I think you're gonna have to deal with it. He's not LeBron James. He's not Kevin Durant. He's in 2 tiers below that, and he's been fine. He's been really good for what you expect for a person in that tier this season, at least. That's my thoughts on Randle. You're gonna have to live with those in order to get the potential all-star that we're getting this season. Robert Cross. This question is for 2 of my favorite KFS peoples. Should the Knicks move Randle or do you ride with Randle? Wait till the offseason unless a superstar is available at the deadline.
That's how it should be.
That's where I am at this point. Thank you, Robert. Will Oliver, I mentioned this Friday night. What's our record on home matinees? Feels cursed. They haven't won yet this year. I know that much. They're 0-3. Yeah, the game we went to, the Thunder game, the Maverick game that almost got everybody fired, and then this game, which, it stinks. So now we know the Knicks can't play at noon anymore. I went looking for a potential date for another KFS outing, Jeremy, and the only time that really it's possible is the last game of the season.
I mean, it's against the Pacers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be an interesting one. The playoff implications.
For playoff implications, that's right. If you think the Pacers will still be around then.
Yeah. Or if let's say the Knicks are a game out from making the play-in versus the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But yeah, I would stay away from afternoon games. I think it's because of the children, if we're being honest.
Oh, it's the kids' fault?
Kids can't bring it. They can't do it. They're not vocal enough, They're too quiet.
Is that why they have the matinees? Is for camps and stuff? Okay, that's why baseball.
For
baseball they do
it. It's 2 things, right? Number 1, it's for events. They have a lot of kids' days, and number 2, it's because the Rangers also play there, and they have other events going on. So it's great for them to be able to do something during the day and then something at night. But yeah, I blame the children. The children are the future, but they're not the present. The Knicks are the present, and they're losing because the children are too quiet and they're sleeping. We need home court advantage. We need them to be there. So leave your kids at home.
Insert Michael Jordan quote here.
Yes.
Thank you, Will Oliver, for your contribution. Carolina Knicks fan, Merry Christmas down south. Why are we consistently bad against the zone? Why? I actually thought the starting lineup has been better against the zone lately. They're bad against the zone as a second unit, which unfortunately is just very easy to stop because Deuce McBride is in it, because Jericho Sims and Isaiah Hartenstein is in it. And for a while now, they've been going to RJ, who, has been fine. Like he's been a better shooter recently, but for his career is not the person you'd go to beat a zone. So it's really just quickly that can shoot his way out of a zone. That would be my reasoning, Jeremy. That's why they're bad against the zone.
RJ's great going downhill as well, and the zone
collapses
prohibits
on
that
it.
in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. So yeah, having some better shooters around would certainly break that up, because then you're leaving open threes, and then if you can capitalize on that, probably less likely to play zone against you.
Did you see Berman's tweet during the game?
I saw his tweet before the game, which was
Which,
phenomenal.
God bless him, happy
Oh,
retirement, Mark Berman.
the dream.
He said the Knicks are missing like a jump shooting wing of sorts for the second unit, kind of like an Evan Fournier type.
And I'm
So
missing his defense, I can tell
I
you
have to
that.
say
But
they're
yeah.
very much not missing his defense at the
No.
moment.
No.
Shout out Carolina Knicks fan. Also Hush Zoo. Shout out to you. I answered your question about when the last time a Knick has scored 40 on 70% from the field, which is what RJ did the other night. Ewing's done it like 18 times. First of all, like he is very, very great Knick, Patrick Ewing. I know it's not a hot take, but just he shows up like Wilt when you go through all the Knicks all-time stats. I'll read later after Jeremy answers this. I'll go looking for it. I have the full list of Knicks to do it on 20 shots or less. I'll read your comment first, though. This is why I'm not a fan of Randle. He played well. However, when he plays well, he gets the green light to ISO and go away from what worked. Just hate it. Jeremy, I'll let you react to this.
I don't know about that, because he had a pretty dominant first half and was doing what I thought was a lot of the same in the beginning of the third quarter. And then it was like, I agree that later on, when things really started to unravel, that's when it felt like it was more, hey, let me try to power us through instead of going back to what works. So I think when the game is out of reach, that's when it happens. But he was playing within the flow of the offense for the vast majority of the game. He just wasn't doing it in the fourth quarter. Everything kind of broke down. There wasn't anyone really centering the team and running any system. It then felt like, okay, Randle takes his ISOs and RJ's on his own. There was nothing really cohesive about it. But for the most of the game, and in the past, I do feel like Randle tries to play within the flow. It helps also when someone like Brunson is on the court to center him. Didn't have that for a lot of the fourth quarter today.
Cosign. And what I also respond to Hush you with is, so he said the other night, when's the last time a Knick has had 40 plus points on 70% shooting? And he said Melo's never done it. Melo's done 8 of his 40-point games are 60% or better. His highest was 69%. So he just missed it, unfortunately. Not as nice as you'd like it to be. This is the list of Knicks to do it on. So the stat that I have for those listening is Knicks players to score 40 or more on 20 or fewer attempts and 70% shooting in a single game. It's RJ Barrett the other night. Eddie Curry did it once. Patrick Ewing did it 5 times during his Knicks career. Bernard King did it. Stephon Marbury did it. And then Kenny Sears did it. There's the context and the company that RJ Barrett finds himself in after that performance the other night. Look, for what it's worth, he had a bad game today. That was just like an outstanding performance from RJ Barrett the other night. If you want to, your reaction to that in particular.
Incredible.
Great game. Yeah.
Not much to add. It just wish his teammates had hit free throws. We'd be having a different conversation.
Yes, we would. It jumped on me, so I got to scroll back up. Okay. Thank you, Hush Zoo, for the contribution. Forgotten NYC. Bench O is extremely weak. Benching Rose was a mistake.
You sure about that?
I
don't know if I agree with that one. He's looked bad.
Cooked. So
I don't know what is he necessarily offering you?
So
in a way, like what Rose has provided for the Knicks in the past years is someone who has stabilized the second unit, as someone who can keep up on the defensive end. Like he's used his size. He's like 6'3". He's been able to use his size to his advantage on smaller guards nicely. He's obviously a good playmaker. He just doesn't look like the same Derrick Rose. And the Knicks were using him in smaller quantities. And you would hope that, okay, because they're not running him out on the court to a huge, amount of minutes, that he's able to be fresher and kind of keep it up. He just hasn't looked good. There hasn't been I shouldn't say a single game because I'm sure there's one. It's hard to find games this year where Rose has really sparkled. He just hasn't had it. And that is why the Knicks turned to Deuce McBride, because he's younger. He can contribute more. He's better on the defensive end. It's just that Deuce doesn't give you what you would hope Rose can give you on the offensive end.
No.
But the defensive end is just it's not comparable. It's night and day. So to me, it's not about benching Rose and that being a mistake. It's the Knicks did not things didn't work out with Evan Fournier to such degree that he is now not playable. And for whatever reasons that the Knicks have, Cam Reddish is no longer playing.
I was waiting for his name to come up during this post game.
And so when you remove
that's the player I would wonder if you wanted to say this person should play over Deuce. That's the one I would have the conversation.
Sure. Know? But we're now talking about two other guys who I believe should be ahead of Derrick Rose. And for other reasons, they are not. And so, then you turn to Rose. It's like, again, are you better off with a 9-man rotation? I think you are. And even Tibbs would acknowledge that. I don't think it was, and I know it wasn't his call to necessarily have Rose be taken out, but he could have said, yeah, we could mix and match. We could still do a 10-man rotation, but just even fewer minutes of Rose. It's not an option. And I think that's fine. I'm okay with that.
It looks like I missed a super chat. Hold on a second. No, it hasn't showed up yet. Okay, I'll go back if I find it. This is from A.E. Kennedy. He says he's another one in here, but it's not showing up in the list. I will figure this out as we go. A.E. Kennedy, guys play zone in high school and college. I don't get why it gives NBA players fits. I think we need more shooters, preferably 6'6" or taller. Again,
that'd be nice.
I'd love another shooter. The thing that got them this winning streak was going to this rotation. I mean, look, when Obi comes back, he's a better shooter than either Hartenstein or Sims. You hope Deuce McBride's shot improves, and if it doesn't, and they decide maybe let's see that. I don't think Cam's ever gonna play another. Oh no! Hold on, what is happening?
You good?
Oh my gosh!
Can you talk? Andrew? We're live here.
I know we're live. Okay, I just got fooled by the internet.
Okay, what just happened? Is it a Carlos Correa bit?
Yes.
Okay, great. Moving on to actual basketball.
I apologize, everybody. I apologize. Right. I just got told by somebody that the Dodgers signed Correa, and Merry Christmas to me for getting fooled by the internet. I think Cam Reddish is a candidate. If you did want to, I just don't think the Knicks are ever going to play Cam Reddish again. That legitimately gave me a heart attack. I'm sorry for getting so distracted.
That's all right.
I'm going on do not disturb for the rest of my life, maybe. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yes, I would agree that if the Knicks had an opportunity to keep Cam Reddish, to reinsert him back into the lineup when Obi went down. They did neither of those things. His career here seems to be over. They'll look for a new team to move him before the deadline. In terms of AE, what you're talking about, to me, it'd be great to find that via trade. It's harder to do. I think that what you're looking for is for the draft. And there are some great prospects this year, players who fit that description perfectly. We have our own Chris Persianen, who I'm sure will be talking about many fantastic prospects and maybe ones the Knicks should stay away from. But I just don't think you're necessarily going to find that archetype this year, especially with Cam Reddish not playing. Simple as that.
One more from A. I went and found it. The Bulls' loss makes this worse. The Garden needs to be the home of the hard foul if we want guys to stop loving playing at MSG. Can we get a call? I mean,
we saw it with Siakam. Crazy amount of whistles.
If the whole point is hard foul them, so that way if they're gonna get calls, make them here. That's a foul. Fine. It's 2 shots. It's gonna be 2 shots either way.
Yeah, blood in the Garden type. Donovan Mitchell talked about this when the Raptors beat the Cavs. Where he's like, yeah, they use their length and they just foul so much that the refs only call what they see it because they're so accustomed to using their length to play physically. And it's just tough. It's tough to do it, to play against. So it'd be nice if the Knicks could employ that, but that's also not necessarily their style. It doesn't have to be. All they really have to do is just hopefully they get more whistles and more calls. It's part of it. It'd be
Yeah.
nice if RJ got the call that a lot of these other players got, but
Good Lord.
we're on year 4, and I keep seeing tweets about like, oh, when RJ gets the star whistle. I'm like, how? When is it coming? Because
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
what? I'd love her to happen. I just don't know when that's going to be.
No, I agree. Hushed you with one more. Talking about Randle, his first half and second half were so different. Anyways, this team needs another score if they're serious on staying top 6. Still lots of flaws. Yeah, they need a bench scorer. They need someone that could create for themselves. Maybe you upgrade the deuce spot in the rotation with a guy that isn't a significant drop-off defensively, but is a significant upgrade offensively. And I'm sure those types of names will come up over the next couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Forgotten NYC bench O. Oh, this is something we did already. Robert Cross when RJ gets the benefit.
Oh, good timing. Great.
When RJ gets the benefit of the whistle, he does not. He's going to be real tough.
Wow. Could not have planned that any better. I swear, did not.
That was amazing.
Perfect timing. 10 out of 10, no notes. Yeah, Robert.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be great.
Robert, I love you. That was they couldn't have planned that better. Oh man. Dan Hidalgo, thank you for the contribution, Dan. Merry Christmas, boys, and all the KFS family. Merry Christmas to you too. If you're not on Patreon, what are you doing? Love the hat. Hey, congratulations. Thank you, Dan, for being a Ewing tier patron. I'm glad that you love the hat. Thank you for sharing in the 80% misery, 20% joy that the Knicks bring all of us. I wonder if that 20% is too high, to be completely honest. But thank you, Dan. Love the comment, love the contribution. Robert Cross again. I woke up and turned on A Christmas Story at the onset of Christmas Day. Magical film, great story beats. Hashtag 53. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
It's a great question. Are we calling Die Hard a Christmas movie?
That's mine.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's an easy one. Yeah. I mean, again, as we've talked about, Die Hard's not even my favorite Die Hard, but
I know you like Die Hard 3, Died with a Vengeance.
Yeah, a phenomenal film. Just I love it. Yes, but I'm gonna go with a Die Hard. But I feel like A Christmas Story. I do enjoy it. It is fun. It's a Wonderful Life is an oldie but a great one. Trying to what
Elf?
else?
Do you go Elf?
Elf's a great one. I do love it. It's not. It's one of my top Christmas films. It's just not one of my top Will Ferrell films because I think he has ones that are better than that. But yeah, I'll stick with Die Hard.
Okay. Yeah, I did the double feature Elf when I was at fiance's family house last night, and then quickly watched. I fell asleep Die Hard last night, I should say. But I just Christmas in LA. What could be better? The chat has thrown Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Probably should have been one of the names out of our mouth.
I did rewatch Home Alone recently. It's good. It's very good. Don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't compare in my mind. Home Alone 2 is not. It's not great. It's fine.
Beat for beat the first movie, which I mean the first movie is really good. So
it is
fine, but it is beat for beat the first movie. Yes. Muppet Christmas Carol is another one I have to throw out there. That was my favorite growing up, and I haven't watched it in a while, but it's one of the ones I'll always remember growing up. Thank you, Robert, for sparking this conversation out of nowhere in the chat and in the comments later. Throw your favorite Christmas movie, if you could. Dan Hidalgo again. New Year's resolution: no more iHeart push shots. They go in though. The iHeart push shots aren't bad. It's just he doesn't get a chance to take a ton of them.
Yeah,
I
got one more movie to guard.
Oh, what do you got?
Movie. Trading Places.
Yes,
that's
a classic. That is a Christmas movie. Yes. Oh man,
but the push shots are not going to go anywhere because he works on them a lot, and the Knicks love push shots. And Fred Katz talked about all that in a not too distant article.
Yeah. Someone in the comments, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Technically, it ends at Christmas. Technically ends. It's not. It's not what I would call a Christmas.
I wouldn't either.
It ends at Christmas. Yes.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't either, but it does end at Christmas. That's true.
Yes. Reliquum Gaming, the Remnant. Shout out to Alex. Hello from the land of enchantment. No negativity from me today. It's a time to be grateful for all the things I have, like this Knicks team and the whole KFS crew. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you as well, Alex. Appreciate that attitude today. I wonder how many others we'll have that.
I need the next one to be. Oh, all right.
I need the next one to be like.
I was hoping the next one to be like.
I hate everything.
Yeah,
Christmas
right.
is ruined. It's not.
the
JG,
juxtaposition.
one of our mods. Shout out to you.
Mm-hmm.
JB, JR, RJ. So Randall, Brunson, RJ need to score 20 plus to have a chance, especially when the bench's scoring is non-existent, unless IQ drops 20 plus, which is unrealistic. Bolster the team offensively, either starting lineup or bench, which I think they're gonna have a chance to do. You know, they actually absolutely have the assets to bolster it in some way. And in fact, Alex has another comment that presents an option. Reliquim Gaming, the Remnant, Scary Terry for our bench. What you think? A lot of money left over.
It's he's also he's a 2-guard, right? Like
it would be the Deuce upgrade.
But and also would it? Because look at what you're losing on the defensive end. Like, I think Deuce should remain in the rotation. Ideally it's someone who can play the 3. That's the most I will go into before you admonish me for talking about ideal trade players and candidates. But we've been hinting at it the whole time. Like that is the type of role where if you keep everyone and you're just adding an upgrade, it's finding someone who can slot in and play the 3. We'll talk more about candidates for who that might be.
Good stuff. Chris Carter. There was a time where RJ was like 6 for 14. Wonder if he's running out of gas after minutes load. Did play 43 minutes today. He was so good the other night. I can't go so far one way with praise for him the other night. I don't have it in me to then be like, well, you were 6 for 21. We're back to wondering if Cam is better than you. I do wonder about the workload on all these guys. If a 9-man rotation is sustainable. I also just thought they lost to a better team today. I wasn't fully like I didn't feel like they were outrun today. I thought they were out talented. That's my thought, at least.
Well, just comparing from last year, right? So RJ had a magnificent second half of the season dating back from, I want to say, that Thunder game, something along those lines. So after he got hurt in Denver, he came back after the All-Star break. First game was that Miami game where he scored his career high of 46. He played the next 22 games and then sat the very final game of the year because of another injury that seemed minor. Unfortunately, it was. In those 22 games, 24.5 points, 6.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists. I'm sure if I looked at his true shooting percentage, it'd be really good. But here's the kicker: 37.7 minutes per game. So I don't think it's that he's running out of gas. I just think he's just had a rough game. After a string of fantastic ones, he just wasn't able to put it together today.
Randall's updated stats, by the way, they've officially updated. He's up to 34% from 3 after the last 2 games. Up to over 23 points per game. Now it's 23, 9, and 3. His offensive rating is now above his defensive rating by almost 2 full points. His effective field goal percentage is 53.9, which would be his Knicks high. His true shooting percentage would be 58.9, which would be his Knicks high. His offensive rating is 116.5, which would be a career high. Julius Randle's been outstanding this season offensively, and as he shows more effort defensively, which we have seen lately, he's asked to do a lot offensively, so you almost wonder how much you can ask for him defensively. But yeah, I'm less in the trade him now, this is a fluke thing. It's more upgrade him if you have the chance to, which we will have more conversations about in the future. Sam Garcia's dad comments, we were due for a market correction, and we are in the middle of it. Not going to be negative today. Merry Christmas, KFS. You're the best. Sam Garcia's mom comments later too. So the whole Garcia clan is here. Shout out to the Garcias. Merry Christmas to your entire family.
Can I add one thing about today's game?
Yes.
I thought another really important thing is that the Sixers did a phenomenal job, and I feel like we should mention this, of protecting the ball this game, and the Knicks couldn't create the opportunities that they needed to. Sixers are really an average turnover team. Both teams just did a really nice job of keeping the ball. And the Knicks weren't great at complete transition, but they were really good off of steals. I think, let's see, Cleaning the Glass had it where I think they did a phenomenal job in transition with like the Sixers just did a better job. So the Sixers were in the 91st percentile off of steals, and the Knicks still did great, 71st percentile. But it just wasn't enough. And if you're able to create more turnovers and you're pushing it more, then you're able to do something. And they were also just off steals aside, transition wise, Knicks were in the 23rd percentile to the Philadelphia 68th. So it seems like that, a game of where it was really, I know it wasn't as close of 116 to 112. It was a little bit further away from that. We could tell from the fourth quarter, but just they did a nice job protecting the ball, and the Knicks needed to capitalize in other ways, and they couldn't. Just came up as I was looking through various stats as you're talking.
Again, through 3 quarters of this game, they were neck and neck, and if anything, better than the Sixers because they didn't get the benefit of a superstar whistle.
Yeah,
it was 27 assists to 3 turnovers or 4 turnovers through 3 quarters. So, like at a certain point, you just accept that they ran out of gas in the fourth quarter, and the Sixers have James Harden and Joel Embiid, which is the frustrating part about losses like this. Yeah. Sean Hardy, shout out to you, Sean, with the W. Thank you for ruining betting and sweating today. Much appreciated. Please look at Berman's last tweet. Hilarious. We mentioned it. Berman is suggesting Evan Fournier. This is the company you keep, Sean. These are your people, Mark Berman and you, suggesting that Evan Fournier should be able to find minutes in this rotation. Now, I understand Sean's full argument. Go look up the pregame show from like a month ago when he suggested this. I am okay if Evan Fournier never plays another minute for the Knicks again.
Well, Andrew, I think the Knicks are okay with that.
Right. Like, I think there's a collective effort across the board for that. Black Spock Wharf. That is, my mom would love that username. This is a Trekkie comment. Sims, I still want, but Hardenstein, no more. I don't disagree. I would love to see what Sims is as the backup. It's the backup center is my thoughts here. Like, I think both do great things well. I am glad we're at the either or part of the season where it's like, we need Obi back. We need Obi Toppin to come back and be a productive piece as the backup 4 at least. So, yeah. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Talked about Hartenstein earlier, where I could see the Knicks moving him, but it depends on what the deal is. I mean, like, not the deal, like what's the deal, like Jerry Seinfeld deal, but like the trade itself. It's funny because like the Knicks could find similar production if they really wanted it in turning Hartenstein into draft equity of second round picks or something, and then this offseason looking for a backup center using a portion of the mid-level exception if they wanted to. We can get into that later. It's more just what we've seen from the Knicks is that they have been comfortable, or they've really only been comfortable either making a deal that they feel is we have to make this because it's such a good deal, or no, we're gonna try to upgrade from here or stay around the same. I don't know if the Knicks would be comfortable moving Hartenstein for, say, expiring salary and a couple second round picks. I don't know if they need a player coming back that can bolster them in some way. Obviously, if you're saying, hey, well, what if they traded Hartenstein for someone who could be a backup wing? Yeah, sign me up. That sounds great. I just think that the Knicks' focus is first going to be on moving Cam Reddish because his contract situation is far more pressing. And I think they're going to focus more on moving Evan Fournier because they are comfortable having him just ride the pine all season, but they'd rather not have him doing that. They'd rather turn him into something productive. Until then, to me, Hartenstein is like, yeah, we need to talk about it, but he's much lower on the list of priorities for me.
I agree, 100%. Busy. I cannot wait for Wednesday. Busy. That's when our latest member of the Monroe tier gets to join us for one of our town halls. I've enjoyed catching up on the Discord and seeing Busy and his takes and his contributions. Merry Christmas. First of all, thank you for the contribution. This is very generous. Not a big stat guy. Welcome to Knicks Film School. Just a guy with a DVR who rewinds game to break down plays. What have I said about our offense? It's bad, easy to figure out, and teams have zoned us up, and that's the ball game. Coaching. Do you have anything for Tibbs today?
Not a ton. You know, I in terms
What
of
offense are you going to with this caliber of players? He's setting up like I actually think they're like RJ mentioned it the other night, the film that they're watching, the issues we've had with these guys and the tunnel vision they have when they penetrate is going away. They're finding guys on the wings. JJ said consistently throughout the game the different reads that they're doing and the sets that they're running to hit guys wide open on the wing, whether it be the wing or the corner, is a clear concerted effort from the coach or from the game plan. So like, are they going to turn into the 2014 Spurs if you bring Johnny Bryant here? I actually think the defense was more of frustration with the game today, if anything. At least that's my thought, at least.
No, I agree with you. And I mean, Busy, I understand you're not a stats guy. I am. Cleaning the Glass has the Knicks as the 10th best offense in the
Right.
NBA this season. And that filters out garbage time, which NBA stats does not, which would lead, if they didn't filter it out, which they don't, uh, it has the Knicks as the 8th best offense in the NBA. And that's not accounting for today's game. So they're getting it done. It's just, I think a big issue is they're not able to adapt, especially later in games when things don't go their way. I think some of that, sure, is probably coaching, but I don't think. I feel like Tibbs, when looking at the fourth quarter offense, he wasn't calling for it. Like, I'm sure he wasn't pleased with the way that the Knicks were going about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was a coaching decision. Wasn't in the huddle. Can't tell you. It's when you get out of the flow of the offense and the way that the Knicks did, I don't see how Tibbs likes that. So I think there is a ceiling in terms of the offense come playoff time, especially, but we're not there yet, and we're just focusing on right now. And right now, I think the offense is looking pretty good, especially in the last 2 weeks. I mean, they the fifth. Let's see, what not fifth. They had the second best offense the last 2 weeks, and obviously an 8-game winning streak helps that. But a huge reason for why they did that was because they did have the second best offense, and their defense in the last 2 weeks 14th overall. So they've been winning with their offense. Just today they shied away from it in the end.
Yeah, I got nothing for the first 3 quarters. Their offense was outstanding. You have 96 points for 3 quarters. You can't complain. First couple minutes of the fourth quarter, you have the offense looks awful during the first couple minutes and then Tibbs calls that timeout after the kneeing 3 to make it, I believe it was 101-98. Yeah, it was 101-98. Tibbs calls timeout, puts all the starters back in except Quickly stayed in. Then there was a couple possessions back and forth where the Sixers were getting wide open threes, but they were missing, and the Knicks were running their offense. They were getting looks and missing. RJ missed a couple bunnies in the fourth quarter. And then the Sixers made everything, like the rest of the quarter. The Knicks had 5 points in the fourth quarter with like 5 minutes left. Like, that's not coaching, that's execution. I understand there's going to be a Tibbs gotta go crowd. Regardless, this isn't a loss I put on Tibbs. They lost to a better team today. I'm excited to see how Wednesday night goes. Busy. Thank you for the contribution, and Merry Christmas to you and yours as well. Mangu Man back again. I love that we compete. That's all I ask. My point is we haven't beat a healthy good team. That's fine. I'm glad we compete. Can't ignore that fact, though. The Cavs would be the only healthy good team that I believe he's referring to. And like, if you don't think the Bulls are good, then fine. They beat them back-to-back games on the road, which is not something a lot of teams do.
Yeah, and listen, I don't disagree. It's just also
Indiana was the 4 seed when the Knicks played them, and they went into Indiana and won.
Yeah, it's more like, I agree. It's also tough to get everyone to be healthy in season because that's just what teams have to deal with their adversity. But they're doing a good job of beating teams generally, not the last few games that they should be beating. Although this game, you would hope that they win. It's gosh, I remember the Sixers game at MSG on Christmas a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, where they just obliterated the Knicks. We're not at that point anymore. The gap is narrowed significantly. I think that's great. But yeah, it just goes to show that this team is in a tier, and it's a good tier to be in. They need to get to the next tier. Hopefully that happens next season. I just don't see it happening this season. So I don't disagree with you. It's just more that teams don't always have the luxury of being healthy, and the Knicks just have to take advantage of that.
I also Jeremy's right. Like, we agree with the healthy good team. There's 5 of those good teams better than the Knicks in the conference. Like, I don't think the Knicks were going to beat a healthy Sixers team if the Knicks were they're not supposed to. These are the 5 teams ahead of them are in a different tier. And like you were saying, Jeremy, this is where the talent cap is where it is, I don't know. They're going to compete against the teams that are around where they are, the Raptors, the Bulls, the Pacers, which, it's good that they're competing against them and not, having games like this against those teams. So
that's why what Shaq and Chuck said this week was so just ridiculous to me. It's like, oh yeah, well, they're not the Knicks aren't going to win a series in the playoffs here. Like, I just want them to make the playoffs without being in a play-in. And now we're talking why are the goalposts moving for a team that people thought was sniffing 500 and now they're playing above expectations at this very moment? I don't mean this towards Mango Man or anyone commenting specifically. It's just why is it that suddenly it's, oh yeah, well, they can't beat this? Like, if you told me at the beginning of the season the Knicks they'd have an 8-game winning streak early on in the year that would put them in the 6th seed, which is above the play-in, I'd say that's great. They're at least 5 teams ahead of them, probably more, that deserve to be at a 6th seed or higher. And it's great that the Knicks are in that position. And now it's up to them to solidify that and to remain strong enough to stay afloat and ahead of the play-in spot. And that's why I think they will try to make an upgrade. That's why hopefully the teams behind them will start losing games and the Knicks can just stay in that spot. And to me, that's a successful season.
I agree. Next up, Kevin Danishevsky. Wonder if we're gonna get something from you today. Merry Christmas, Kevin. I also hope this
Happy Hanukkah too.
And happy Hanukkah. I very much hope the Correa thing clears up quickly. It's almost more frustrating when process is good, but the results aren't there. Praying for a Sixers early exit and Harden leave so we can get Embiid. What do you make of the Harden Woj bomb? For those that missed it, Adrian Wojnarowski said before the game that he put the word breaking on it too, that James Harden is open to going back to Houston in free agency this offseason.
One word, Andrew. Leverage.
No,
listen, I do think.
There you go.
Sure. I can't rule anything out James Harden because I think James Harden looked at what he had, said, I don't want to be here anymore, went to another situation, didn't like that situation, wanted to go to a better situation, realized I really don't want to be here either, and leaving. Because let's face it, you said breaking. It's not breaking news.
No.
Woj probably had this in his pockets and decided to hold on to it before a marquee Christmas game where he'd be going on ESPN to talk about it, and that's when the story would hit. You look at Houston, they're a team that has ample cap space. They are also really fascinating to me because next year, their pick is only 1 through 4 protected. And so they either need to be the worst team in the NBA and hope that I think it's 47% chance that they don't get that 5th seed, or the 5th pick, which then goes to OKC, or they just try to win as many games as they can. And I think they'd be open to having James Harden there because you can sell a lot of tickets. You're going to probably lose your pick anyway, so you might as well try to make a playoff push. I don't think they're going to be a particularly good team, but I think that there's enough there where it's they can be in the conversation, so to speak. But I'd be lying if I said when I saw that the idea of Harden going to Houston, it's well, what happens to Embiid, right? Because is Embiid comfortable saying, we'll figure this year out and then we'll go to 2024 with max cap space, maybe try to sign my fellow countryman in Pascal Siakam, maybe, but also if you're Embiid and you're turning, I think he's 29 years old. It's are you comfortable wasting more years of your prime as you wait for the Sixers to hopefully sign someone to replace Harden? And if you're not, then you're probably going to want to trade. And if you're going to ask for a trade, then you're going to look around the league and say, where do you want? And that's where it's very curious. As a Knicks fan, where we're all coming into play, that's a future conversation. In the meantime, long story short, Andrew, I think it's leverage.
I did too. When's his free agency year?
This year.
No. Embiid.
Oh, not for years. He just signed an extension.
Yeah, I thought so. He's 28 years old, by the way.
After this year, he has 4 years left, I want to say, and the fourth year is a player option.
Yeah.
I think that's the case.
Yeah. Jeez, the money.
It's a lot of money, but the cap's going up and it might spike.
Yeah. He's going to get paid $54 million in 25-26. That is. Wait, hold on. No, I got distracted again.
Another Carlos Correa tweet?
No, noted. Okay. I got people who join in on our post-game live streams know who this person is. The man who types in all caps, David Smith, just said it's his birthday today. You and Jesus, David. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, David.
Yes. Thank you for the contribution, Kevin. I also am curious to see what that does to the Sixers and let alone to the Knicks potentially. Sam Garcia's mom. It's a family affair officially. Sam's home. So I believe he's at Ohio State. So he's home for the holidays. So even the Knicks losses can't ruin the holiday. Aw, that's a mom comment right there. Like their son is home for the holidays. Merry Christmas from the Sam Garcia family, from the Garcia family. Hashtag play Rose.
Oh my good. What is going on today?
Mama Garcia with the Rose propaganda at the end of it. Merry Christmas to the entire Garcia family. I hope you guys enjoy the family, the home for the holidays. I hope you enjoy his break together. How's that? Luffy contribution. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, Jeremy and Andrew, or Andrew and Jeremy. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to you as well, Luffy. There you go. By the way, Cactus Shack with a contribution. The Mummy, 1999, underrated Christmas movie. The stars of that franchise, Brendan Fraser and like it's technically Billy Zane, but The Rock have been in the news lately. Brendan Fraser with the movie The Whale, which he's getting a lot of critical acclaim, potentially for an Oscar, and The Rock because Black Adam happened, and kind of ended the DC universe as we know it. So, that's my contribution to whether the Mummy is an underrated Christmas movie or not.
Could be.
There you go. Yeah. Iron Man 3 would be my underrated Christmas movie. If we're going that direction.
It's not a good movie.
I would just say underrated Christmas movie. I didn't say good movie. If we're putting it in that category,
then mentions a holiday to be like,
yes, exactly.
All right.
Why not? Lower tier Marvel, mid tier Christmas. Why not?
So for Moon Knight, are we calling that an underrated Hanukkah show?
You know what?
Like, I'm trying to remember what holiday they had.
What's the one they Hawkeye is a Christmas show.
That yes, I would agree with that. But that is like that's not like it could be that is a definitive.
Literally is like I'll be home by Christmas is the mission of that movie. That show.
I hated the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
I haven't seen it to be honest.
You'll watch it
probably. Yeah, I'm so behind on all of the things. So
yes,
yeah,
fair.
Okay. Well, anybody with an underrated Christmas movie, hit us up in the chat or in the comments.
Yes, please.
Second to last comment, Jessica Clarice Elsner. Thank you for the contribution. Thank you both for stepping up while John is eating baby bunnies raw in the woods. Oof. Shout out to those that listened to Patreon and heard the two-parter with Fred Katz the other day and know. Do you know what the next two words are?
I do.
Can you read them
for you?
Please.
Chag Sameach.
And Merry Christmas to KFS crew and regulars in the chat. Thank you, Jessica. Back at you. I appreciate that. And then last but not least, from Mangu Man, thanks for your time. Happy holidays to all KFS and Knicks fam. Mangu Man, thank you for your contribution. Genuinely appreciate it. I also he mentioned like I'm glad that they compete. I'm glad these games are close.
Yep.
Like I'm glad we were getting a competitive effort they're frustrating at the end, and I'd love for them to have like a 17-game winning streak right now because they closed all of these games. They're competing, which is something we didn't see during the Fizdale era, and this is the upgrade that you get when you go to, this version of the Knicks that we have now. Jeremy, before we get out of here, you want to do some segments real quick?
I would love to do some segments, Andrew.
So we're going to start with the Cashback Player of the Week presented by Chase Freedom Unlimited. The candidates will go with Julius Randle, RJ Barrett. Let's go Mitchell Robinson, and let's go Emmanuel Quickly. I think those are the four reasonable candidates for this. Who would you go with? Since you won in predictions this week.
Exactly. Since I won in predictions this week. Since I did not take 4-0.
No, Robert. He did not take 4-0 and was smart to do so.
Yeah, shot an air ball on that one. I did. I would say that the answer for me has to be RJ Barrett.
Okay.
I think this game, obviously, it was like it had a slight impact. I was like, maybe do I take him? No, I still stick with him. Mr. Do we have to attach protected first round picks to move this contract?
Mm-hmm.
He had a great week. I mean, it would have been nice if this one would have just put the icing on the cake and made it unanimous in my mind. It wasn't unanimous, but it was close enough where we're seeing shades of a player who I don't want to say deserves to be in the All-Star conversation because this season he does not. But when he's performing the way he does, if you're able to take that, and also, I mean, did you tweet about this? Like, where's like the games where without the stretch where he was really sick earlier in the season or something? I mean,
if you take out half the first half of the season where he
first half. Okay,
I saw it. Like it's literally now a half a season and half a season where he's actually been really good.
Yes, and I believe, and it might have been Teg IQ for 3 who talked about if you take away just those 5 atrocious games where he shot like
someone
8%
did comment
from 3.
in the thread I put up that like if you just take those 5 out, he's actually been like better than Randle.
Exactly. So there are a lot of high hopes for him, and I know there are a lot of questions about when the Knicks gave him a deal to just forget the money, just to extend him. Period. After the Donovan Mitchell fallout, like this is why you do it. The contributions he's giving you, especially when you really don't have any other wings to play, whether because the Knicks simply don't have them on the roster or choose not to, is a different story. He's playing like that guy, and he's my pick.
I'm going with Randle. Been a theme for me this year. I noticed that the offensive numbers were outstanding maybe 15, 20 games into the season. And it was like, I'd really like him to start playing defense. So that way we can acknowledge how good he's been offensively. And as his defensive numbers have gone up, the attention to his offensive numbers have gone up. I read them earlier. This is a guy you can live with. I'm not saying like the contract's justified and like now he's untradeable. I'm saying he's no longer a suppressed asset. And it's a testament to him. It's a testament to the team for not panicking this offseason the way we did. Well, we, not including Jeremy, did. It's a testament to the coaching staff, who has clearly made an effort to point him in directions of where he should be on the floor and the types of shots he should take. And, it's part of the reason the Knicks are 18-15 and or 18-16 and not, somewhere hovering around like 5 games under 500 is because of him. And that has to be acknowledged. People wondered if he was a winning player. Well, they've won more games than they've played this year, and he hasn't missed one yet. So it's tough to argue he's not a winning player. He may not help you win a ton, but that's, there are better players than him. But I've been really impressed with Randle this season, and I'm curious to see where the All-Star conversation goes. Now it's interesting. Detention. So I think we can go Quentin Grimes as a candidate for the free throws, the defense in the Friday night game. He's a candidate. Jalen Brunson, unfortunately, is a candidate. You want to throw a bench player in there? You want to throw a Hartenstein in there? You want to throw Tibbs in there? Just because he has to always be on the candidate list. I don't have much for candidates as far as the detention is concerned. Which is funny because they went 1-3 this week.
listen, as the person speaking on John's behalf, you got to. You have to.
You gotta.
You got to go first.
Oh, I have to go first,
Yes,
which
you
is
do.
funny because I would lean. So we got the I'm not gonna regret the contract ever. I still like he has been such a positive addition. The counter of how many wins would the Knicks have if it wasn't for Jalen Brunson is still astronomical to like what they would be without him for this season. Um, I noticed this morning looking at some numbers that like the overall efficiency has really taken a hit lately, and it's like a 10 to 11 game stretch now. And I don't know if that's just the uptick in minutes that he's now had to account for, the uptick in usage that he's now had to account for. But Jalen Brunson would get my detention this week. The two bad games he had against Toronto and then against Chicago have a lot to do with why they lost those games. The two missed free throws, I'm not like crucifying him for it, but it has a lot to do with why they lost the game. Um, his effective field goal percentage is down to like 50. Like it was around 55 for a lot this year, but he's now like averaging less points per game than RJ Barrett. Um, the 10 games, in fact, let me go fully get the stat up. The 10 games leading up to today. Now, he had a good game today and apparently got hurt late, but the 10 games leading up to today. So let's go from the Milwaukee game until now. So it's actually 12 games, 17 points a game, 6 assists a game, shooting 39.6% from the field. Now he's shooting 42% from three, so you take it, but it's only on 4 attempts. So it's not like this is a volume 3-point shooter. For a guy taking 16 shots a game to be average, like this is Alec Burks numbers. We did not get him to be Alec Burks. It's where for just 1 week, you put Jalen Brunson in detention. I know John would never do this. For 1 week, he had a bad week. And hopefully going forward, I'm not like out on Jalen Brunson. And he's able to play more like the guy we saw today. It was much more efficient, much more crafty with his shots. But you know, it comes for all of us eventually. Detention does. So it's funny. A testament to our show. I saw people commenting on Twitter today, like, no, I gotta go with my boys at KFS. Brunson's in detention, and it was like warming to be like, oh, well, they're using a bit from our show for their Twitter conversation. I dig
That's
that.
great.
Go ahead.
Well, how many times have I put given Brunson the game ball? How many times have I professed my love? If you hadn't put him in detention, I would have. Just not a good week from him. That's okay. Go for next one. He's had some good games sprinkled in since when you're talking about. I do wonder if injuries are catching up with him. It seems like every few games we're hearing about, oh, he's being tended to for, an ankle or a hip or a foot or something. He's going through it, and he's a warrior for playing through it. As a Knicks fan, certainly appreciate that, especially as there aren't that many players who are available to the Knicks right now. So it's nice that he is pushing forward for his sake. Hopefully he's healthy enough. For me, it's going to be Isaiah Hartenstein.
Hartenstein. Okay.
Brutal week for him. The Warriors game had some highlights, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. And again, I think it goes back to the whole point of I feel like he's miscast. And but more than that, I mean, we could talk about defensive rebounding, sure, but it's unfortunate that he and Sims have to share the floor so much, as we've talked about, because of the zone, because of the lack of spacing, because he's just taking shots that shouldn't be there. And I think he gets bullied defensively a lot of the times, and it's just tough. It's frustrating, and he does provide value. It's just he's not able to provide it where he's at, both role and team wise. So very curious to see how it shakes out. We'll reassess, but yeah, outside of Brunson, I think have to go with Hartenstein.
Fair, very fair. As far as the candidates go this week. I have not heard from John, but it's time to do our predictions. This is presented by the fine folks over at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app now or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. You sign up today and receive a special offer. You bet $100, you win $100. That's bet 100, win 100 at wynnbet.com. Download Bet Win. The Knicks have 3 games between now and when we record next. Those 3 games are Tuesday against Dallas, at Dallas, I should say. It's an NBA TV game. I believe it's also an ESPN game. It's also our playback game. So anybody that wants to join us on playback, $7 a month gets you access to all of our playback watch parties over on the KFS Patreon. It also gets you the extra KFS pod every week, as well as access to the KFS Discord. So if you want to become a patron and join us for our watch parties, that's how you do it. And we'll be there Tuesday night for the Knicks against the Mavericks. They also play the San Antonio Spurs on Thursday, and then the Rockets on Friday. On Saturday. So Jeremy, you won. I know there was talk of getting John in here for that to have this conversation. He obviously is the reason he's not here is because A, he was sick all week, and B, he was with his family and his children on Christmas. Gross. How dare he? So where are you leaning you are now 7-2 on the season in predictions in our competition. Where are you leaning for predictions this week?
Yeah, touchdown to a safety. So this week, where I'm going, I think fortune favors the bold this week, and I am actually going to go with, I might regret it, but that's okay. I've got enough distance between us to go 3-0.
Oh, wow, Jeremy.
Now, I say this as the Lakers are coughing it up. They were up by a nice amount at halftime. It's now 58-55 as we are recording this. So, yeah, but I just, as we were talking about the Knicks, it's Julius Randle playing well in Dallas. Jalen Brunson return, first time since he left. The Spurs and the Rockets, they could put up a good fight, and I wouldn't put it past them. So I don't think they'll coast to it. But if we're talking about the Knicks playing better on the road, I recognize that this could be broken up not only with a loss, but with the very first game of these 3 games. But I am comfortable with a touchdown to a field goal lead should that happen. So 3.
Well, this makes it a lot easier then, because I'll go 2-1 for John. And I'm with you. I'm very confident if they win Tuesday, it's a 3-0 week.
Well, you just jinxed it.
No, I'm not.
Claudio Curse is just. You fucked me.
They don't lose to those types of teams.
We were just talking about those types of teams before.
The bottom.
When they're like, they're going to be 50 and 20 after 70 games because look at all the bad teams they're playing.
50 and 20 is what I said.
Right. Well, congrats, John, on your win this week.
All I said was if. The keyword was if.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks a lot. Merry
if
Christmas
they
to
are
you
able to win on Tuesday against Dallas, which is not a guarantee, it's also what you picked.
It's over. It's done.
All right, never mind.
You can't save me.
In fact, it's already over. You already lost this.
Why don't we just give John the ability to pick the following week's games?
John, we should pull up next week's schedule.
Yeah, just do it. Just go ahead,
the upcoming week is now screwed. I apologize, everybody. Hashtag Claudio Curse. This has been the KFS post-game show along with the technical weekly KFS podcast. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everybody that watched, that listened. I thank you to Jeremy. Do you have anything to plug before we get out of here?
Do I have anything to plug? I don't believe I do. No, just happy holidays to all, as we've said. This is just an incredible, with Thanksgiving and these holidays too, I always just feel very appreciative, and it's really just a pleasure to be able to talk with Andrew and interact with you all and whatnot. And I'm looking forward to, it'll be the new year the next time we chat. So to everyone else, happy New Year. Have a great time and excited for 2023. It'll be a good year.
Yeah, I'm sure that there'll be more reflective stuff that we say on other pods throughout the week, but this is that time of year where I start to get reflective of the last 365 days. 2022 is a pretty great year for me personally. I also had a lot of friends go through some stuff, so I'm able to be appreciative of the good personal year. And obviously in 2023, there is a pretty big event happening next summer in my personal life that I'm looking forward to and excited for. And of course, it is when the Knicks are in the NBA final. No, I'm playing.
I was going to add that on.
I
was going to say a championship.
A championship, yes.
But,
I listen. just to earn some points here, I believe I am going to be winning a championship this summer when, I walk down the aisle. But having said that, thank you everybody for tuning in, both watching live and then listening later. Happy holidays from the KFS team, and we will see you all next time.